What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley, that's Scott Savage, and you can join us at InsideTheGame.ca. Our friends over at Fired Up Network, all their services, 212 platforms, just like SoundCloud, Spotify, and a whole lot more. And of course, join us over at YouTube at Inside the Game Official, and all those beautiful TV streaming networks around the globe. I'm talking about Roku, Amazon Prime, Samsung Plus, Jake's Esports TV, ESTV, and a whole lot more. Scott, there's a whole lot coming up on today's show. What do we have?
We have Starfield Timeline has been released. We're going to talk about that. Gamescom opening night live. Temper your expectations, I'm told, but we'll see. Master Chief joining the Rainbow Six squad. That's something that was not on my bingo card. And we have Spider-Man 2 accessibility options are coming to light.
Nice. Sounds like a great show. Let's dive in. Scott, topic number one is one of the most anticipated titles of the year, Starfield Timeline, as Bethesda has offered a detailed look at the game's vast backstory. There's going to be so much to unpack. Dude, this is just a little sampling, I believe, of what we're going to get into, Scott.
Yes, this seems an extremely rich background they're already building.
Yeah, absolutely. Alexander Cope over at Windows Central says on August 14th, 2023, Bethesda updated the official Starfield website with the timeline detailing the events of Starfield's backstory leading to when the game's main plot begins. This timeline provides a huge wealth of valuable information regarding Starfield's setting and characters that players will want to read up on if they wish to fully immerse themselves in the plot. The history of Starfield's universe features significant events like humanity finally landing on Mars in 2050, which kind of almost doesn't feel all that far away, Scott.
Yeah, I think that almost lines up properly.
Right? And being able to sustainably live in space by 2100 or 2100, I guess. How would you... I guess that's how we'll go with that. Then, as mankind journeyed the stars to colonize more worlds, factions began to form, like the United Colonies and Freestar Collective, and battled one another for dominance of the Narian system in a bloody war called the Narian War, which lasted from 2196 to 2216. Other noteworthy events. Go ahead, Scott. What?
Well, it's a long war, but then you consider that's a space war, and I just consider the inevitability. The moment we settle on another planet, you know that's the next step.
Yeah. Oh, man. Other noteworthy events include the the formation of the Constellation faction in 2275, a group of explorers dedicated to exploring the cosmos, discovering alien artifacts and life forms, and solving their mysteries. Then, in 2307, United Colonies and Freestar Collective once again declared war on each other after the Freestar Collective broke a peace treaty, resulting in the Colony War, which lasted until 2311. The timeline ends in 2330 with a single message, quote, Starfield begins, end quote, confirming that this is where the player's story will begin in Starfield. The full timeline, as stated by Bethesda on the official website, was as follows. And dude, there is a ton of stuff over there at Windows Central by Alexander talking about more details of the we just kind of summarized it here like briefly, but there's a lot going into this. I'm so fascinated, really, Scott, when it comes down to how did they come up with this story? Like, what was the beginning process, and what does that look like? How do you come up with all of these, which are gonna feel like magical ideas? But again, you think about it, dude, it's Bethesda. They created some of the best games we've ever experienced when it comes to an RPG. So this is just a little taste, like I said, of what you can expect to get into. How far are you gonna dive into Starfield, Scott?
Oh, I cannot wait to dive headfirst right into the full release of it. But before then, I've kind of been choosy about what information I've been pulling from the internet. This is interesting, however, because it establishes a motivation. And that's what I want to know. Why am I here? What's my character motivation? Is it truly just up to me to form that? And these are the questions I have heading towards launch.
My other side of it too is I'm curious, how different does your story vary from my story? Right, because we are able to then get into the backstories for your character. They have like a ton of options that you can scroll through, and then you have your traits and these other little mechanics that go behind it that make my experience way different than what you're going to experience in the end. I think this is what has me excited the most, is going to be that water cooler moment, like they say back in the day, Scott, we're old, of how, you gather around and you go, hey, let's start telling stories. Where are you in Starfield? What did you do? Hey, I didn't even experience this, but yet I'm over on this planet right now, and I found and came across this, and this. How long do you think it's going to take us to get through the story? Are you going to beeline the story, Scott?
Oh,
or are you going to focus and just kind of go out and explore? Because for me, I'm telling you right now, I got to get through the story. I want to know what happens. I got to feel it. I got to get into this world and discover things. But then I also know come long term that you get into, crafting your outposts, and you get into crafting your ships. Like, how much time? Dude, this is going to be such a time sink.
I think it's definitely going to pull me away for some of that crafting, but my style of play is to just clean the map from left to right. So I know this is going to take me 100 years. I'm thinking when it comes to the water cooler, how does my character change from yours? I am brought back to the memory of Morrowind. When you arrive in Elder Scrolls Morrowind, you speak with Cassius, I believe his name is. I was 10 years old. It's hard for me to remember, but you put together a lot of your traits based on questions that they ask you, and that'll build your character up. So maybe there is a way of kind of guiding me to the character I want to be. Space Raider.
Well, I'm excited. They said there's like 40 different options as presets to scroll through, and then from there, everything's completely customizable so that my character is my character, which I cannot wait to just dive into. I'm a little nervous just off the hop, because I feel like the character creation could take me about an hour to 2 hours just to get through that part and then start the game. We haven't got our codes yet. We're hoping to get here shortly. Then there's been some rumors too that codes aren't coming out until like close to launch, which is makes us
puzzling.
Nervous as media to try and cover all that for everybody, right? But it is very exciting to get into. This is going to be a game of the year discussion from what we've already seen, right? And I think that's where it kind of, how far are people going to push through here? And then what do we get into? And does it connect with certain people? Because I'll be honest, most Bethesda, like, I don't play Fallout, right? It's just not my thing. I've never played Skyrim. Still, never, ever played Skyrim.
It's a big blind spot for you.
Dude, that's a big gaping hole over here, right? But yet then when I take a look at Starfield, I'm not the biggest space fan either. But here we go. I'm kind of, dude, it's got my interest. I'm very interested to see, will this be the Bethesda title to hook me? And among that, don't forget how many others is going to hook, because it's coming to Game Pass on day one.
Oh, absolutely. And just on the code thing, before we touch out to the next subject, I want to think that that's probably just to avoid some of the obvious bugs that will come out. The Bethesda jank that we're used to. Maybe just try and put a cap on that for another little while they scramble to fix the bugs.
Yeah, they need to finish those and fix those bugs, because I don't want that Bethesda jank that they're known for. Now you're owned by Microsoft, right? Like, you have the budgetary means to get in there and fix a lot of these things. They're not going to be able to discover everything just because of the sheer scope of the game, but they should be able to go in there and make sure 90% of this stuff really runs the way it's supposed to, Scott. I don't want to get into some of that jank, right? Because that's what takes you out of that experience. When you have a polished game, dude, you play God of War, nails it. Just nails it.
That's
play Spider-Man, nails it. Horizon, nails it. Dude, PlayStation is nailing their first party. Well, Bethesda now has become a first-party studio. Guess what? You need to do the same thing if you want to compete. So I'm just telling you, step it up, Bethesda. I got high hopes. Scott, Gamescom is coming up quick. As Geoff Keighley says, this year's Gamescom Opening Night Live is less about announcing new projects. You're ready to temper expectations. Andy Robertson over at VGC. Speaking with VGC ahead of the August 22nd event, the host and producer said that viewers should expect mostly updates on announced games planned to release over the next 12 months. Quote, "It's going to be an exciting show with new looks at many announced upcoming games like Alan Wake 2. Though, man, Black Myth Wukong. Haven't seen that one in a while either, Scott. So that one kind of just caught me off guard. I'm excited to see more of that one.
That's one that was fallen away. I've forgotten about it a couple times now.
Yeah, it's very cool. This year's Open Night Live is less about announcing brand new projects and more about giving fans updates on some of the biggest games due out over the next year. Open Night Live is the Game Awards producers' regular pre-show presentation to the German Gamescom Expo, which last year took place in Cologne as an in-person event for the first time since 2019. Last year's show ran for just over 2 hours and featured more than 35 games. According to Keighley, Open Night Live presents unique challenges compared to its other annual events. The Game Awards and Summer Game Fest, not just due to European location, but also due to ties to partners exhibiting at Gamescom itself. Quote, first, there are logistical challenges for our LA-based team to produce a big-scale show in Cologne, Germany. Thankfully, Gamescom and Colmonese are great partners. The other challenge, but also opportunity, is that this show is directly tied to the partners and games that will be exhibiting at Gamescom. We're always trying to find ways to create synergy between what's happening on the floor and inside Opening Night Live. Scott, high expectations here, low expectations, tempered expectations, where you at?
This is the kind of commonly heard tempered expectations, which I think I've heard every single showcase. So, although it is wise to kind of be realistic, we have to expect certain things. I've seen talk about Starfield not being playable on the show floor. So I'm wondering if this is because it's going to be weighted for more of a video presentation, something maybe a little more held in, a little more controlled. But in any case, this is only a week away. We're going to learn a lot more.
Absolutely.
I want to hazard a bet though. How many world premieres are we going to hear?
So he says expect, man, less about announcing new projects. So I'm not expecting a ton of world premieres. I would say I'm placing bets on 6. I'm going with 6. I'm feeling 6.
Okay.
And
I
that
was
is
thinking 3, oddly enough.
Wow.
Rule of 3s for video games.
All right, fair enough. So I guess we'll find out on the 22nd. We're going to be checking it out and then covering it for ITG Daily for sure. But it is one of those things. Jeff's getting ready to, hey, don't expect some big reveal of something we don't already know, because there are so many games we do know about. It's just a matter of getting those updates, right? Finding out more about Wukong. Dude, that one, I'm excited to see where that one's going to go. Really, really pumped. I know a lot of people are looking forward to Alan Wake 2 as well. But there's a lot of games we do know about, but we don't know kind of the condition that they're in. When are they coming? Are you expecting then a Wukong release date?
Ooh, that could certainly be. I don't know if there's that much information about the game out entirely. It's kind of a blind spot for myself. So I would hope that if there is any bit of information out there, this will be the end cap.
So there's a few things I'm hoping for, like the return of Neil Druckmann and getting in, but he might have been at Summer Games Fest. I want to say that was Summer Game Fest when he talked about The Last of Us multiplayer. So that was hopeful, but maybe this is an opportunity here. We do know Xbox is going to be there, so when they don't, I think Starfield is just too held close to the Xbox chest right now to let that just breathe out in the wild and not give it to media, like you said already, that we don't have our codes yet. So they're not going to give it to open the doors and say, here, everybody go play. Media hasn't even touched it yet.
Oh, yeah. If there's bugs on the show floor, that would be a disaster. So that's why we're not seeing Starfield.
No, what you're going to see for Starfield on the show floor is just a giant trailer in the background.
Yeah.
Right? There's going to be a big, massive screen that when you go to Xbox booth, that's what you're going to see right there. It's push Starfield. Why? Because it's out next month. And by next month, I mean like 2 weeks. So
yeah,
it's dude, I'm terrified. 2 weeks, no codes. I'm a little nervous. So we'll see, but it's good expectations. But Geoff is tempering our expectations for the show for what we can expect to get into. What are you hoping to see, Scott?
Well, you brought up Alan Wake 2, and that's really the one that I want more info on. And seeing the videos that came out before, getting the hype surrounding the title, the more I think about Alan Wake, the more excited I get. I know it's not your thing, but it plays a nice balance where it's not jumping you every 10 minutes, but there will be a few in there.
I'm wondering how many deep dives we're going to get, right? Is he going to pull off and get into some of the conversation with the devs, or are we just going to get, I can't say just being all trailers, right? That's not what Geoff does.
Yeah.
Geoff does have a nice way of tying everybody in and making the show flow. I'm hoping we don't get a little bit of a rocky spot in the middle where it's just like, here's a bunch of fluff we're going to toss in, and then we'll finish off the show with something big. I hope to see a big reveal at the end. Set that up, right? Geoff doesn't want to come out and go, that show was just okay. That's not what he's looking to do. He's looking to build our industry up. And he does it very, very well. He does it great with the Game Awards. He does it with the Summer Game Fest. So now we get into Gamescom. There's so many events. It's hard to go, how do we get all the spotlight here? When then we got to share it with 2 other shows later this year. So over the course of the next 12 months, I almost feel like, dude, remember when Xbox said, here's what's coming over the course of the next 12 months? I'm like, I've heard this line before. So
Yeah.
it didn't work out that well for Xbox. I'm hoping it works out a little bit better for Geoff. Scott, this one is near and dear to our heart, my friend. This is Rainbow Six. We've got some leaks that, dude, Master Chief is coming? What?
Yeah.
What? How does
Chief,
this... Oh, yeah.
do you mind telling me what you're doing in Rainbow Six?
My goodness. Grant Taylor Hill, Insider Gaming, said, recently imagery has surfaced online directly, suggesting that none other than Master Chief will be making his way to Rainbow Six Siege. What? It's not the first time Ubisoft has run crossover collaboration events, but it'd be a first for the near 8-year-old competitive first-person shooter to feature a skin from Halo, and such an epic skin at that. Fair enough, it would reportedly arrive in the form of an elite skin for the classic operator named Sledge. Scott.
One of my regulars.
It is one of your mains, isn't it? What are your thoughts on bringing over Master Chief?
It seems very bizarre, and I think it is only bizarre. We have seen a lot of crossover events in the past with
wrestling just recently, right? WWE stuff.
I'm thinking of Sam Fisher being in the game, and that was
was
kind of strange, but it wasn't that strange being in-house Ubisoft. But
yeah,
this game is cross borders, we'll say, with PlayStation. So it makes you wonder, is that going to be something that would inhibit the ability to have Master Chief on? But you look at Fortnite, and Fortnite's like Smash Brothers. Everybody's on Fortnite now. So
yeah.
I'm thinking this is to be believed, and it's notable to come from Clobril. I think I say that right.
Yeah.
A well-known leaker. So I think there is something to this, but I don't know how I feel about being the Master Chief running around.
I'm curious to see what kind of skin. What does this look like? Because we've seen some pretty cool skins, and like we said, we're huge fans of Rainbow Six, so on it pretty well every night, right? Like, it's one of those, that's our go-to game to play. But it is interesting to see that of all the people that they could pick from, or anything at all, they went with Halo. I wonder how much, dude, they bring that in. How many times do you think people are going to buy that skin? Like, how many sales will that generate alone? And on top of that, we're getting into a new season, which brings in a new operator named Ram. Which just turned the game on its head for us when we get into the new season here coming up shortly. Ram has 3 health. She also is a 1 speed. Rather slow, right? She has a breach for one of her specialties. But here's the biggest unique item at all. This is her ability, the BUGI Auto Breacher. The deployable mini-tank destroys all breakable surfaces and devices in its way along a set path, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Dude, it literally crawls around and destroys everything from the floor to whatever's in front of it. And you can set it to go direct, straight ahead, or you can have it veer left or veer right. You can't shoot it unless you shoot it at the back, which has this little red mini canister, which then will stop it. You can hit it with an impact. You can nail it with a nitro if you want to. This, to me, is going to get... Ram, you will never see Ram played because it's just she's going to get banned constantly.
Immediately, right?
Yeah. I think so. Nobody wants to deal with all that chatter. If you haven't played Siege, one of the unique features in Siege is really the audio. You need to listen. You need to hear. What Ram does is disrupts that audio because it's so loud with her deployable breacher that this thing just makes so much noise. You could almost plant the diffuser and not get detected whatsoever because it becomes that loud.
So that's my job as Sledge, which now I will be the Chief doing that job. It's going to be loud.
Are you buying that skin?
I don't.
You're gonna
I want to say no, but I'm thinking about it. I don't have the 2B one though. There's other skins that I do want.
Do you have any elite skins at all?
Not from memory, no. Okay. I think I had one out of an alpha pack one time. The Santa.
Oh yeah, that's just a skin. I've got the Assassin's Creed skin for Flores. So if you're the top, what you get is this unique outro kind of scenario. So they like dive off, do the leap of faith and into a thing of hay. which is pretty sick. I'm a big Assassin's Creed guy, so the minute I saw that, I don't even play Flores that often. I still bought it anyways. I'm like, yo, I need that skin. And then, of course, I actually play Zero, who is Sam Fisher, and he has an elite skin, and I bought that, which is pretty wild.
That makes sense.
Dude, he crawls across on a pipe on the ceiling, and then drops down, and it just breaks the neck of a dummy, a test dummy, and then drops. It's awesome. It is really cool. They got some other cool ones, too, but yeah.
We're getting into the weird territory now of guest spots and things that don't look military, but this does come, a week after the Call of Duty thing that has come out that people are very angry about. And, I'm surprised it's not Snoop Dogg. I'll just say that.
Oh man, I tell you, video games, they're always unpredictable. You never quite know what you're gonna get. But this whole introduction of RAM as well, keeping on with Rainbow Six, and RAM alone as a new operator, I'm very curious on how that's going to change up the meta of the game. What not only do us as a regular player do for this instance, but what are the pros at their high level too, right? Are they going to ban RAM, or are they looking to use RAM to disrupt that? Because like you say, right, you use Sledge right now to open that floor and just kind of make a bit of a headache. Because I've been nailed before, man. All of a sudden, Sledge is right above you. It's like, what the heck is going on? That's a lot of noise. But this thing takes that noise level to this whole other audio cue that it's just going to disrupt everything. And yeah, a lot of people I see in chat are going, this is just a little too much.
We're going to have to figure out a plan for that one.
Yeah, ban. Done. That's it. Scott, one last topic for the day is Marvel Spider-Man lets you slow down combat to 30% of the speed. Tom Henderson over at VGC. Spider-Man is getting a bunch of new updates and accessibility features. We want to quickly touch on a couple. Audio now, you'll be able to screen reader support will allow out loud all of the on-screen text and menus, captions, on-screen captions, and audio descriptions are available for cinematic scenes. And the gameplay, you can literally choose to slow it down from 70, 50, or 30%, and go back to regular speed at any time. Love what Insomniac is building here, dude. Very, very cool for everybody to be able to play Spider-Man 2 just around the corner. Scott, we're back on the high wave of high games coming out. There's so many games today. What do we have?
We have Tea Garden Simulator on PC, and I like the sound of that sim.
Man. Every sim engine can replicate.
Astro Flame Starfighter is on the Switch. Hammerwatch 2 is on PC. Everspace 2 has now come out for the new gen consoles, that being PlayStation 5, Xbox Series. And Cantata is on PC. Moving Out 2 comes to PC, Xbox One, XS, PlayStation 4, 5, and Switch. Just about everywhere there. And Green Hell is now on PlayStation 5 with PSVR 2 support.
That's
that
awesome.
sounds terrifying.
That's yeah, man. I should jump into that. I gotta take a look.
I love that game.
It's such a good game until he starts screaming in my head. Yeah, you can go a little nuts in that game sometimes.
Loved it.
Well, Scott, that'll wrap up ITG Daily. This is the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news each and every day. There's so much to talk about all the time, so make sure you tune in. And until tomorrow, we'll be back. I'm Drew. That's Scott.
We'll see you inside the game.